Greetings, everybody. This is just a short little video covering the prayer said upon entering a church. Every time that Christians in the Syriac Orthodox tradition enter a church, they voice this little prayer. And there's also a prayer upon exiting a church, but it's really a departure statement. This one we could count as a prayer. So I'll read real quick by itself, and you can look at the text. You don't have to know how to read the font that this is written in, and then the way I will be reading this is in the Western accent. The Western accent is utilized by the Syriac Orthodox, the Maronite Catholics, the Syriac Catholics, and historically by the Antiochian Orthodox when Syriac was part of the tradition. So upon entering the church, you would say, Lebaitoch Aloho Aleph, Waqdom Bim Diloch Serdeth, Malko Shmayono Hasoli Kul Tahtithloch. Okay, now let's look at this page where we can read along. If you don't know how to read these characters, you can look at the Latin transcription to the left and then the translation below. Into your house, O God, I have entered, and before your throne I have bowed. O heavenly King, have pity on me, all that I have sinned against you. So it's a very nice statement when one goes to enter the house of God in order to prepare oneself for the worship experience. We'll just go ahead and read it real slowly. Lebaitoch Aloho Aleph Waqdom Bim Diloch Serdeth Malko Shmayono Haso Li Kul Dahtith Lok. All right. So Lebaitoch Aloho, Lebaitoch, into your house. It's interesting that, when we talk of the building, we don't talk of the building so much as a church. Yeah, we do, and we have a word for it, of course. But it's nice to think of the place of worship as a house of the God. And really that goes back to Akkadian, to the Beit Eli, the house of the God. And so into your house, O God, Lebaitoch Aloho. So in the Beit Eli, right? It's not too different from the heritage that this tradition comes from. Aleph, I enter, or I have entered. Nowadays, people may say wurri or something like that. They may use a different verb to describe entering, to crossing a threshold, that's the newer way of saying it. The older way, there's this interesting connection between entering and going up or ascending. Now, they're different roots. One's alal and the other's Allah, or alaya, historically. So, the question is, were they ever one at one time? All that to say, there's an interesting idea of ascent or upon entrance into something holy, because you're going to uplift the senses. You're going to uplift and worship by the senses, uplift oneself, and to transcend in the sense of, moving in the direction heavenward, right? Waqdom, and before. Beam diloch, before your beam. Now that's an interesting word, beam. Beam is an interesting word because it's a Greek word. It's actually not an Aramaic word. Bema in Greek, or vima, maybe you'd say today. And it's taken as a judgment seat, right? Sometimes it's used for, a throne, right? So like a patriarchal throne or something like that. It's kind of an official seat as opposed to a cursio, a chair. So interesting use of the word there. So waqdam bim diloch serdeth, I have bowed. This means to bow over. And when we pray, we bow forward. Commonly in churches, it's just a forward bow, but you may see in monasteries where the doorway or the corridor is actually lower than the height of an adult. You literally have to bow to enter, right? Malko Shmayono, heavenly King, O heavenly King. Again, the Christian political position is one of seeing the divine as the king. In other words, you can have a political preference, position, whatever on this earth, but ultimately your ethics, your worldview, your phronema, if I may, comes from your understanding of the divine human relationship and what it means to be created and how to interface with the creation because of the creator, right? And all of that means that the true monarch, if we can, is the divine, is God, right? There's no authority that is stronger or more powerful than what is above. Hasoli. So again, this image of like, it's very royal too, right? You're going in before a throne and you're bowing down and you're saying, Hasoli, have pity upon me. Why? Kul dahtith loch. All that I have sinned against you, right? So kul, all that. Hath means I have sinned, loch, to you, or in this case against you. So the prayer evokes this sort of this imagery of entering before a royal sovereign, right? One who is capable of granting mercy, of granting of pity, and recognizing one's relationship to that sovereign, right? And yet, in spite of that, it's about an approach, right? An approach and an entry. And in fact, the worship service that one is entering into is called the Kurobo Alohoyo. Kurobo means the approach, right? The divine approach, where you offer, or where sacrifice or offerings, korbone, are offered, where the korbono is offered. So this is your prayer for entering church. If you don't attend an Aramaic speaking church, now you have an Aramaic prayer to enter your church. If you don't even enter church, I mean, I think this is kind of, this isn't specifically like, there's no language that's, exclusively, Christian here. And so maybe if you have a worship experience, this might be a nice prayer upon entering your house of worship, wherever you go. So Taudisagi Fushun Bashlomo.